They're the closest ally in the Middle East because they're the only country in the entire Middle East that anyone in this country, these fucking hypocrites, would even survive for a week in. You wouldn't want to live.
I don't know if that's true anymore.
Bill Maher brought on Andrew Schulz onto his podcast, The Club Random Podcast, and Bill Maher and Andrew Schulz got into a very heated debate on multiple different issues, and Bill Maher definitely got very triggered, and like I said, it got very heated. Things got bad. Bill Maher got triggered, so yelling at Andrew Schulz, and Andrew Schulz, in my opinion, and even though I'm not the biggest fan, I don't think he's right about a lot of things if he talks about. In this situation, he was in the right, in my opinion, and Bill Maher, I think, also knows that deep down, and that's why he got so triggered and so frustrated. Let's get into this clip here, where Bill Maher loses his mind here on Andrew Schulz as he brings on Andrew Schulz onto his podcast, The Club Random Podcast.
Free speech, which I am, and way always on the left. I mean, you said woke. I don't want to talk about woke. I'm always fucking with the woke. The woke hate me more than anybody for good reason. Because when I stick the knife into them when they deserve it, it goes right to the bone, which it should, because they don't believe in it either. So here's a case where, yes, emotionally, because I'm a supporter of Israel, I would like to see this guy out of the country. No, you can't just throw people out because you don't like their speech.
Especially if you give them or you grant them some form of, I don't know if he had a citizenship, maybe a visa or something like that, but you're essentially giving this
green card.
He has a green card. So if he has a green card, you're giving them the opportunities to be an American, exist as an American for this amount of years.
But if you have the green card, you do have the same rights as an American citizen.
That's what I'm saying.
Right, okay.
So we have to give that person those rights.
You have to.
As annoying as that is.
As annoying as it is.
You probably should have looked into his resume before you gave him the green card.
Because that's always what, and it's very hard to, I would say not more than 20% of the people in this country can you get on that opinion. Everybody else is just always going to go right to defending the speech of the people they like.
Yes, this is what we constantly do. We're hypocrites, but like
such hypocrites.
But this is the thing, we have to like this is where it gets frustrating, these arguments, is like if we know we're hypocrites, we can't cry about it. We have to meet people where they are.
Correct.
Right? So like I mean, I'm sure you've seen on Twitter, like everybody's talking about, Israel, and like it seems like there's waning support in America for Israel.
Oh, absolutely.
So here's an example which you hear people say all the time. Like obviously the politicians have no clue how to communicate, most of them, and they're just like, well, this is our closest ally, and then you get asked why, and they go, oh, they don't know, because they're just being told that they're the closest ally.
Well, closest ally in the Middle East.
Regardless of what it is. It's like, I think
that's very important. They're the closest ally in the Middle East because they're the only country in the entire Middle East that anyone in this country, these fucking hypocrites, would even survive for a week in. You wouldn't want to live.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if that's true either. Maybe for some parts of the Middle East, but I mean, I don't know, man. It's such a hard topic to talk about because you literally can't talk negatively about, Ben Shapiro's favorite country over there. But it's very obvious that the reason why they're called our greatest ally, I don't know why he said our closest ally, it's our greatest ally, is because they have the entire United States in a stranglehold. Like they have all of our politicians wrapped around their finger. They 100% do. And it's because they pay them a ton of money. And, AIPAC exists. And, you guys know, you got to dance around certain words and, can't say certain things, which is unfortunate and very frustrating for me. But it is what it is. And it's the truth. They have the United States in a stranglehold. They do. I mean, the evidence is everywhere. And you don't have to go much further than just looking at AIPAC. And it's sad. But let's see what Bill Maher and Andrew Schulz have to say about this.
Like the UAE, I've been to Abu Dhabi.
The UAE is not the Muslim world. If you're talking about
But they're
Dubai,
in the Middle East. That's what you're talking about.
Okay, but you're talking about a tiny, tiny percentage of what typical life is like in 60 Muslim countries. You're talking about a little enclave that they carved out so Westerners could come and spend their money.
Right.
We're talking about far less than 1% of the way life is like. You would not want to live even in a moderate country like Jordan. And your wife certainly wouldn't enjoy living there.
Yeah.
Okay?
You're making logical points.
Well, these are factual points.
Yeah, sure, they're factual. But,
they are.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's like, I gave you another option that is true.
Well, but it's
I think, matter of fact, I would even argue that life is more relatable to the average American in the UAE or in Dubai than it is in.
Again, but it's a disingenuous argument.
Why is it disingenuous?
Because I just told you.
You said you can't live there, and I was like, here's another place.
Because it's not typical. I said the entire Middle East. So if I, okay, so look, here,
okay.
Here's the thing. Here,
all right.
If I say you have to move somewhere in America, and I'm going to throw a dart at a map with a blindfold on, and could you survive anywhere else in America where you absolutely could? You could live in Salt Lake City. You could live anywhere in America. If I throw a dart at a map of the entire, all 60 Muslim majority countries, will you say you'll live there?
I could survive in every single one of them.
You couldn't.
How no?
What?
How could I not? I'm not a gay guy. I could live in any single one of them.
You're in Kabul. Your wife would have to wear a head-to-toe burqa every.
That's on her.
Okay.
You're talking about me surviving. You're like, I could live very comfortably in every.
Yeah, I think people have been brainwashing. You know, I wouldn't want to live in that environment personally, but to say that you couldn't survive, I think that's a bit of the Western brainwashing and the propaganda that goes against the Muslim world and many other countries, right? But Bill Maher has kind of succumbed to that brainwashing, where he now thinks that it's taken to such extreme that he now thinks that you can't survive as just a normal straight male in the Muslim country. That's not true at all. Like Andrew Schulz just said to Bill Maher, maybe if you're gay and you start kissing men in public, then you might not be able to survive. Or if your wife doesn't wear a burqa, maybe you'll get in some serious trouble. But just being there, like as a normal person, you're not just going to die. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, maybe you could, I guess, if there's a lot of climb there or something, but you're probably going to be okay. If I had to guess, you know, but I think that's a lot of the Western brainwashing and the Western propaganda that we go through, you know, in school with mainstream media, and Bill Maher has taken it so far as to say that Andrew Schulz couldn't survive in the Middle East. That's kind of crazy. Single
country. Like, again, let's not move the goalposts. You're asking if I could live comfortably.
You could live with yourself knowing that that's how women are treated in your world.
I hate this moral argument. Like, we give a fuck about women around the world. Like, no, but this is like.
Yeah, you said you'd be happy.
This is such a bullshit argument.
This is such a bullshit argument.
No, I didn't say happy. I said I could live. You keep moving the goalposts.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry.
Let's stay on what you say. I could live easily in every single one of the countries outside of the wars that are existing. But you're saying in peacetime?
Easily?
Easily. You live easily.
You could easily live in Kabul, Afghanistan.
Is there war happening? Is the Taliban doing their thing?
No war. No war. So war's over.
War's over? I could kick it in Kabul for a month easy. Enjoying life. Now, am I doing stand-up every night? No. But could I take a little vacation?
I don't know if you're kidding with me.
I'm just telling you, I think that...
I'll give you two options. Either you're kidding or this is stupid.
Well, that's this pretentious ass shit.
It's not pretentious.
You're doing the thing that
it's not pretentious.
You are doing the
that
thing.
You could live in Kabul and be happy, or get by, or
you know, that's different. Living in I don't think I would be happy in that environment. Let me know in the comments what you think. I don't think Andrew Schulz would be happy living in that environment either. But that's a completely different statement than you couldn't survive in that environment, and you couldn't survive in a Middle East country. Yes, you could. As long as you don't do anything that's disgusting, you'll be good, you know? I wouldn't want to live there, but you could, no doubt about it. So that's completely different. I'm curious to see what you guys say in the comments about this as well.
It'd be no big deal.
You're doing this thing that gets...
It's not virtue signaling to say...
I didn't say virtue signaling, but that is, if you don't agree with me, you're dumb, is why Trump is elected. And this is what Democrats do.
Yeah, but sometimes dumb is dumb.
Yeah, but people are dumb. So deal with that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, stop acting like everybody's smart. Like, this is the problem, is like, you have all these people that go to Ivy League schools and they're like, we know better than everybody else and we'll just tell you what to do and you guys are all stupid and I know you feel like you want this, but you don't really want this. And if you disagree with me, you're an idiot. Then all of a sudden they go, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm voting for that one. And it's very simple.
Yeah, that's true too.
So we can't speak down to people if we know that they're going to react emotionally. I guess what I'm trying to say is, even with the like, for example, the Israel conversation, right? So if I know people are reacting emotionally to this, right? Who is the burden on, if we have this deep connection with Israel, which I believe we do, right? I think the burden is on Israel to prove to the American people, who definitely they rely on for support in this conflict, I think the burden is on them to communicate to the American people why it's advantageous to America to continue to support them. Like, and if they can't communicate a reason, you can't be upset at the American people for being confused about it. We have that same energy towards Ukraine. We go, wait a minute, they're getting how many $1 billion? Okay, over here, if eggs were cheap, I don't care about where you throw the money. But once eggs get expensive, I start going, where's the money going? $200 million going over there? So when economic times are very difficult here in America or any country in the world, there's going to be some questions asked about where this money is going.
As there should be.
As they should be. I think it's a very normal thing. And unfortunately for Jews, when economic times turn shitty in countries, people start looking and they go, I think it might be their fault.
But why is that?
Because we're sending a ton of money over there for no reason. And it sucks that I have to watch what I say, but you just have to. That's the world that we live in. Unfortunately, they do have a stranglehold on us. But whenever it's also not just the, like Andrew Schulz is saying, and Bill Maher somewhat agrees that the United States is in a tough financial time right now. There's a lot of things going wrong, especially, with the prior president, with Joe Biden. He put us in a pretty bad spot. Not just that, and then looking at seeing where all the money's going, and a lot of it's going over to the Middle East and funding this war. But it's also, we're seeing a lot of pictures pop up on Twitter or X of, innocent babies getting killed and stuff like that in this war, and just kind of indiscriminate bombings going on over there from the side that we are funding. And it's like, okay, not only are our tax dollars going over there, but now we have taxpayers funding a lot of innocent people dying, a lot of innocent bloodshed, right, over in the Middle East. And I think that's where a lot of people start to really get emotional about it and really start to have a strong opinion about it whenever they realize that their tax dollars are not just going to the Middle East. Their tax dollars are funding innocent lives being taken in the Middle East. That's why, I get pissed off about it as well. Let me know in the comments, though, what you guys think about this Bill Maher versus Andrew Schulz argument. Bill Maher obviously got pretty triggered there, and I think kind of lost his cool and was definitely stepping outside of reality. But I'm curious to see what you guys' opinion on it is. I know that you're going to disagree with me on most of this, no doubt about it, but I'm very curious. Let me know in the comments, you guys think about this whole Bill Maher versus Andrew Schulz situation.